Imagine settling into your dream home, only to find out it was a nightmare in disguise. That's exactly what happened to Susan Lewis when she, along with her daughter, her boyfriend Matt and his daughter, moved into what they thought was their dream home in Moreno Valley, California, back in 2006. But it quickly turned into a house of horrors. The family began experiencing a series of paranormal activities that would make anyone's hair stand on end. They endured bangs and knocks at all hours, as if invisible hands were determined to make their presence known. And it wasn't just noises. Even more bizarre events began to take place, with unseen forces aiming to destroy their new home and generally instilling fear in the family. Items began moving on their own, defying the laws of physics and common sense. A cup placed on the counter would suddenly find itself on the floor. Chairs would rock on their own, while other pieces of furniture would slide across the room. It was as if they were living with a ghostly roommate who was a relentless prankster. Yet the most chilling incident was yet to come. One day, Susan's daughter, while in the home alone, smelled and saw smoke entering her room. The entity, it seemed, had tried to burn down the home with her in it. The family was left with no choice. They packed their belongings, their dreams, and their hopes, and left the house that was supposed to be their safe haven. The house that was supposed to be filled with laughter and love was now a shell of its former self, a place where fear and dread roamed free. Their dream home had turned into a nightmare, a place where they were not welcome. Sounds like a horror movie, right? But for this family it was a grim reality, a haunting experience indeed. So, how can you avoid living in a horror movie? The answer lies in understanding stigmatized property laws. Stigmatized property laws, in essence, are real estate regulations that concern properties where certain events may have occurred that could impact the value or desirability of the property. These events can be anything from a death on the property to, you guessed it, alleged paranormal activity. Now, these laws are not uniform across all states. In some states, like California, sellers are obligated to disclose any unnatural deaths that occurred on the property within the last 3 years. But when it comes to hauntings, things get a bit trickier. Take the famous Ghostbusters ruling in New York, for example. In this case, the court ruled that the seller should have informed the buyer about the home's haunted reputation, as it could affect its value. The ruling was based on the fact that the seller had previously publicized the house's ghostly residents. So, in effect, the court held that if you are selling a house and you've told others it's haunted, you also need to tell the potential buyers. Contrast this with the laws in Virginia, where the state code explicitly states that no cause of action shall arise against an owner or agent for the non-disclosure of a property being the site of an act of suspicious death, felony, or a belief that the property is haunted. This wide variation of laws means that what sellers need to disclose and what buyers can ask greatly depends on the state. So if you're hunting for a new home and want to ensure it's ghost-free, it's crucial to familiarize yourself with the stigmatized property laws in your area. But what about homes outside the US, you might ask? Well, in many countries, such as Japan, sellers must disclose if a property is stigmatized, which includes any unnatural deaths or reported hauntings. They even have a term for these properties, jikobuken, which literally translates to accident property. Now, it's important to note that stigmatized property laws are about disclosure, not validity. They don't confirm or deny the existence of ghosts. They're in place to ensure transparency during property transactions, as certain stigmas can affect a property's value and desirability. Remember, these laws are meant to help you, the potential buyer. They can provide you with the information you need to make a well-informed decision. So don't hesitate to ask questions about the property's history. After all, it's better to ask now than to discover later that your new home's previous tenant was, well, still there in spirit. These laws can help you avoid a haunted house. But what if these laws don't apply? Stay tuned as we delve into how to avoid moving into a haunted house when these laws do not apply. You may be surprised by some of the strategies we have in store for you. Don't worry, there are ways to avoid moving into a haunted house, even when stigmatized property laws don't apply. Let's explore some strategies that you can employ to ensure your new residence isn't already occupied by otherworldly tenants. First, the internet is your friend. Use it to conduct preliminary research about the property you're interested in. Websites and forums dedicated to paranormal activity can provide you with a wealth of information. Often, you'll find stories from previous homeowners who've experienced unexplained occurrences. Remember, if it sounds too spooky, it probably is. Second, historians and local law enforcement officers can be invaluable resources. Historians are keepers of the past, and they may know if your prospective property has a history of strange happenings. Local law enforcement, on the other hand, might have records of unusual incidents reported at the address. Don't be shy, reach out to them. A little bit of research now could save you a lot of sleepless nights later. Next, consider having a chat with your future neighbors. They're likely to know a thing or two about the house you're considering. If they're reluctant to talk, or if they share tales of strange noises, flickering lights, or unexplained chills, you might want to reconsider your choice. Another method to spot a haunted house is to bring a pet, preferably a dog, during your house visit. Animals are known to have a heightened sense of perception and may pick up on things that we humans cannot. Pay attention to their behavior. If they seem uncomfortable or refuse to enter certain rooms, it might be a sign that not everything is as it seems. Now, let's say you've done all this and you're still not sure. You've got one more option. Bring a friend along with you to view the property. Not just any friend though. A friend who is also a psychic can use their expertise to determine if there's anything supernatural going on. They will know what signs to look for and may be able to provide valuable information. While this might seem like a drastic step, it could provide you with the peace of mind you need. But what if you've done everything right? You've followed all the steps, and you still end up in a haunted house? Don't fret. It's not the end of the world. There are ways to coexist with your spectral roommates or even to convince them to move on. In the next segment, we'll explore what you can do if you find yourself sharing your home with entities from the other side. But remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about a property before you move in, the better prepared you'll be to handle any surprises that might come your way. Now, if you've already moved into a haunted house, don't panic. There are ways to deal with it. The first step is to acknowledge the situation. You're not going crazy, and you're not alone. People from all walks of life have found themselves in similar predicaments, and they've lived to tell the tale. One of the most common approaches is to conduct a house blessing, clearing, or exorcism. These rituals are performed by religious leaders or spiritual practitioners, and they aim to cleanse the space of any negative energy or entities. If you're not so religious, you might want to consider a secular clearing, which can include things like sound therapy, burning sage, or even just a deep, thorough cleaning. Another interesting option comes from the Gullah and Geechee cultures of the southeastern United States. They've traditionally painted their porch ceilings a specific shade of blue, known as haint blue, to ward off evil spirits. The color is believed to mimic the appearance of water, which spirits supposedly can't cross. So if you're handy with a paintbrush, why not give your ceiling a fresh coat of haint blue? It might just do the trick. Of course, if the paranormal activity persists, it might be worth calling in the professionals. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators can gather evidence, validate your experiences, and often provide practical advice on how to deal with the situation. They might even be able to communicate with the entities and negotiate a peaceful coexistence. Documenting your experiences is also crucial. Keep a journal of any strange occurrences, and if possible, capture them on camera or audio recordings. This will not only provide proof to skeptics, but could also be useful if you need to seek legal advice. That brings us to another important point: know your rights. In some cases, a good lawyer might be able to find a loophole in your state's property laws that could help you break your lease or sell the house. It's always worth exploring your legal options. But what if none of these methods work? What if the spirits refuse to leave? Well, you might just have to learn to coexist with them. Many people have found that their spectral roommates are actually quite harmless, and some even report that they can be helpful, alerting them to dangers or helping to find lost items. And finally, remember to keep a sense of humor. Living in a haunted house can be terrifying, but it's also a unique experience that not many people get to have. So try to see the lighter side of things. After all, having a ghost for a roommate is certainly a great conversation starter. Sometimes you might just have to learn to live with the ghosts. But remember, you're stronger than you think, and you're not alone. There's a whole community of people out there who have been in your shoes and are ready to offer support and advice. So hang in there, keep your wits about you, and who knows, you might just make it out of this with a heck of a story to tell. We'd love to hear about your spooky adventures. Now, isn't it intriguing how the unseen can sometimes be the most impactful? We've all had moments that send shivers down our spines, moments that make us question the fabric of our reality. And often, these moments involve our homes, the places meant to offer comfort and security. Perhaps you've had an encounter with the paranormal, or maybe you've lived in a house that just seemed a little off. Well, we encourage you to share those eerie stories with us. We're not just here to share our wisdom, but also to learn from each other's experiences. After all, the best way to navigate the world of the supernatural is together. So if you've had some hair-raising experiences with haunted houses, or have found unique ways to handle such situations, we're all ears. Did you manage to carry out your research before moving into a new home? Or did you find out about your spectral roommates only after you moved in? Maybe you tried painting your ceiling haint blue, or perhaps you called in a team of ghost hunters. Or did you find an ingenious way to coexist with your friendly neighborhood ghost? Your stories are not just about sharing a good scare. They're about building a community of knowledge, of shared experiences. They could be the guiding light for someone else navigating a similar situation. Your tales could be the difference between a peaceful home and a haunted nightmare for another family. So, don't hold back. Pop down to the comments section and share your spooky adventures. Let's make this space a treasure trove of experiences and solutions, a place where we can all find a bit of courage and maybe even a smile or two. Remember to like and subscribe for more tips on navigating this crazy haunted world we call home.